TV for life. Good evening and welcome to Face to Face for the Newsfirst team. I'm Niresh Eliatambi. Well, I have a very special guest this evening. It's none other than Mr. Ferdous Mottakin, who is the head of government relations and public policy for South Asia at TikTok. And of course, TikTok, as we all know, is a very fast growing and very popular social media platform. And it's lovely to see that the folks at TikTok are engaging with Sri Lanka and with the government and participating in our countries going forward, because as we know, digitalization is a big part of our journey. Right. Good evening and welcome, Ferdous.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here. Right. It's always wonderful to be back in Sri Lanka.
Yes, and you are something of a frequent visitor now because you are highly engaged with Sri Lanka, with the society and the government as well, because South Asia is a fast-growing environment, and Sri Lanka in particular, isn't it?
It is indeed. I think we love Sri Lanka not just because it is classically placed in the region, but also the overall growth, the digital adaptation, the very energetic, digitally savvy, tech savvy youth, and of course the overall policy environment here. It's very much pro to the technology development. So altogether, we find it is a fascinating place to work and engage with all the stakeholders.
Right. And how is TikTok engaging with the government? Because you're engaging at various levels, and there are, of course, a lot of challenges and concerns, and of course opportunities, because you do. It's not just an entertainment platform. It does a lot more in awareness creation and education and so on. So how are you engaging with the government at present?
Well, we have been engaging with the government of Sri Lanka from the very beginning of our operations here, but of course with different different phases, with different topics. Currently, there are multiple avenues where we engage with the government. One is, of course, ensuring a safer internet ecosystem for the citizens of Sri Lanka. Second is how we can create TikTok as a productive tool for the wider user base who are the Sri Lankans. And three, of course, how do we initiate a way of creating an informed society? And of course, education, digital safety, entrepreneurship development, those comes always in parallel to all the three components that I mentioned in the past. So there are multifaceted approach that we have while working with the government of Sri Lanka from the very beginning.
Right. Now, social media as a whole, and TikTok is an integral part of that, is viewed by many, or has been viewed by many, traditionally as, well, it's something where youngsters get their entertainment, and it's, there's music and there's a lot of gossip and so on. But this is just one small part of it, isn't it? There is so much more to social media, and TikTok in particular is going a long way in these other areas. So could you give us a bit of a rundown about TikTok, apart from the very surface things that we see, where we see people putting up their videos and music and so on, but give us a broader impression of TikTok.
Yeah, this is, I'm glad that you brought this up. I mean, look, TikTok is predominantly, when we started, it is predominantly of entertainment platform. We enable creativity and enable creating sort of a creative digital economy. But we have moved alone in terms of how this tool, a platform, can be used for not just entertainment, but for economic productivity, for education dissemination, for promotion of things which are very critical and essential for the citizens. This platform has transformed from a mere entertainment tool to a more of a productive tool. We call it utility, a productive tool for the overall citizens and the ecosystem here in Sri Lanka. A few years ago, we have seen that it was mostly used in, entertainment purposes, singing, dancing, as you rightly mentioned. We don't deny that, but now we could see that a lot of people are using this tool for promoting their small medium enterprises. Teachers are using this tool to create educational content for local languages, Sinhala and Tamil. We also have seen there are small non-profits. They're producing, those cooperative-based handicrafts products in the various part of Sri Lanka, and they're using this platform to promote not just locally but also globally. So this has transformed from just a singing and dancing or entertainment platform to more of a productive tool for creative economy and digital economy, overall growth of that creative and digital economy. So yes, we have been diversifying our overall engagement with our wider creator community. We're also promoting those activities so that it becomes more of a useful tool for everyone.
Right. And also, now when you talk about the entertainment aspect, one immediately thinks of the youngsters, teenagers, and people in their 20s and so on. But as TikTok has grown and engaged with all these multi-purposes, has your audience also expanded?
Yeah, it did.
Do you see people in their 30s, 40s, and beyond also engaging constructively?
It is, it is. I think now TikTok is a platform for everyone. Now, it was perceived as a platform for the younger generations for inevitable reason, but now it actually is used by anyone and everyone. I mean, if you look into it, every individual has different sort of aspiration, aspects, different sort of way of reflecting to their daily life, lifestyle, belief. This platform has transformed from those youngster specific platform to a platform for everyone. I mean, someone who lives in very rural places, let's say dedicated their profession on irrigations, farming, they have found their way of using this platform. Likewise, someone who is a scientist or entrepreneur, startup entrepreneur, they found their way of using this platform for useful purposes and productive reasons. So this platform has transformed from a specific group user-centric to a platform for everyone. And this transition happened over the last few years quite at a larger scale, both in Sri Lanka as well as globally.
Right. And also, let me ask you about the confidence that the public would have in social media in general, but TikTok in particular, in terms of trust. And this is something when the internet first burst upon us, which was perhaps 30 odd years ago, and then people were afraid to put up their personal information or their bank information, credit card numbers, and so on, because after all, there were a lot of scams and so on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But over the years, that has become refined. But still, there is an element of mistrust among some people about social media. So, what has TikTok done in terms of concrete steps in ensuring that there is a growth in trust?
Yeah, this is a very critical component, and we take it very seriously. The trust building activities, we call it safety by design. So what it means is whatever product and features that we develop within this platform, the safety component is an integral part of it. So how do we do this? So there is a global framework, we call it community guideline. So there are some principles that we have at a global scale that we implement through machine as well as human moderators. And then there are multiple other ways of ensuring that the content that goes into the platform are safer for the user. Is it appropriate for based on the age? It is appropriate based on their cultural norms, their belief. So safety is one of the most comprehensive and primary component that we look at for every aspects of our work, and there's a huge workforce behind it. But we also have to accept the fact that safety is there is no finish line. We have to continuously work on those. We not just work by ourselves, but we work with local stakeholders. We work with a lot of different community partners, think tank, non-profits, academias, to gather the insight on what are the things that are acceptable over there into a particular country or geography, and what are the things that are not acceptable. Then we also work with government. We work with law enforcement agencies, so that if there's something that we missed out, those can be reported to us. Our partners on the ground, they report the content which are not appropriate and it's a violation of our community guideline or major local laws. We look into those while we are ensuring the safety of the content and safety of the platform for the user. But we also accept that there's no finish line, and we continuously work, and this is a priority, and we'll continuously work on that in coming days as well.
Now, you mentioned working in cooperation with governments. And when we were speaking earlier, you mentioned that in Sri Lanka, it is the organization known as SL-CERT.
Correct. Yeah.
Sri Lanka Computer Emergency Response Team, which is the government entity where, if a member of the public has a complaint, they can go to the police, the CID, and so on, but it will end up with SL-CERT. And that's where the action happens, to take down an offensive post or whatever.
They cannot take down the post. What they can do is
they can do advise
report,
on that.
They can report those content to us.
Right.
So in every country we work with the government, as I mentioned. And every country there is at least one of the nodal agency that we work with, so that this particular nodal agency works within the country with all the different other agencies, as well as the extended partners and networks, whether it is non-profit, whether it is civil societies, and they aggregate if they find anything concerning, and they can report those content to us. So SL-CERT or Sri Lanka CERT does this job here on behalf of the Sri Lankan citizens and Sri Lankan government. And I think it is also very important for everyone to know that safety is not something that can be achieved only by us, only by CERT, only by one institutions of the government. It's a collective effort. Ensuring safety in digital ecosystem has to be done by all of us. Informed citizen, informed user, more informed and aware parents, bringing up digital hygiene for the children's. So everyone has to do their part, and they have to be very informed while they use it. And then collaboratively, we can make a safer overall ecosystem. But of course, once everyone does the job properly, I think it becomes a more safer digital overall environment. But we do appreciate the work that Sri Lanka CERT has been doing. They're doing pretty amazing job over the last couple of years. Yeah,
absolutely. And just like Sri Lanka CERT in Sri Lanka, you have such organizations in other countries as well. So TikTok isn't just operating on its own around the world. It is very much part of the global governance structure.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is no way that we can operate in a silo or think and plan and build something of our own. So it's always a consultative approach, collaborative approach, while designing the safety features, while designing the product features, or while implementing all the activities that we do. We do collaborate, and we do uh, engage into dialogues, and we also support each other to ensure that TikTok acts as a platform for the people and for their productive purposes. So it's a very high commitment from our side in terms of ensuring platform is creating value for the citizens, value for the user, instead of creates trouble for everyone. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned parents and children.
Yeah.
Now, this is an important aspect because parents and society in general were always concerned about the dangers that our kids can get into, whether it's just, walking down the street or, going somewhere in the night to a party where parents are always concerned, and they should be.
Yeah.
The world we live in is such. And online safety is a critical component. How does TikTok address this when it comes to children? I know you have different restrictions on age groups and so on. Would you like to explain some of that?
Yeah, this is a very important point that you brought up. TikTok is a platform that is allowed for anyone above 13 of years, but then from 13 to 18, these particular groups has two different other tiers, and all the content that are shown to those particular age group between 13 and 18 has this thing called age appropriate content. So the age gating are used to ensure that no one under 13 can create content, can use this platform and interact with unknown people. But then above 18, there are other control features, other safety features. Those are equally important for us that we do. So what we promote, this one thing that is called family pairing. So within TikTok, we have this particular feature that is called family pairing, which are mainly for giving a tool for the parents to ensure that when their kids use this platform, and the kids means above 13 years of age, they are well protected into the platform. There are a lot of restrictions between 13 to 18 years, and then when it is above 18, then those things gets relaxed. So this is one thing that we do. We do a lot of awareness things, awareness campaigns for the young users, for the parents, for the teachers as well, so that both the parents, teachers, and the user, the young users, they know what they should do and what they shouldn't do. Because see, the digital ecosystem, the footprint, whatever you do, you keep a footprint, and a responsible way of using it can only be ensured if we take a collaborative approach. Now, so this is something that we do proactively within as a feature in the platform or outside of the feature by conducting awareness activities, etc. But then on the other side, it is important for parents to be involved in terms of looking at whether or not the kids are using the platform with adequate digital hygiene. So we take a 360 approach, and it's very important for us to ensure that kids, especially young users, are well protected into our platform.
Right. And speaking of kids, TikTok is being used in education a lot more in recent times. Tell us about how that is going. How, I'm sure that as we spoke at the inception, education was not a big part of the usage of TikTok, but now it's growing in a big way, isn't it?
It is. So we call it Learn on TikTok. So a few years ago, we started experimenting on how we can scale up the users of the platform for educational content dissemination. So there was a special focus on science, technology, engineering, and math. We call it STEM or STEM feed. Perhaps many of you know that recently we launched this particular feed in Sri Lanka in collaboration with the government, the Prime Minister's office, and the objective was this particular feed was to ensure that science technology related interest grows, and it scales up across the various social demographics, despite any of the barriers of getting the access of education or science education. But beyond that, the Learn on TikTok as a campaign, as a slogan, has been scaled up quite substantially. We do promote globally to ensure that there are curated educational content are placed in the platform, so that anyone, whether you are a high school student, you are preparing for exams, public exams, we're preparing for job interviews, this platform can be used. In South Asia, there are programs called Exam Ready that we did in Pakistan. We did the similar sort of program in Bangladesh, where we not only created content based on the local curriculum, but also enabled student associated scholarship, so that students who are somehow economically or financially backward can still be able to access the fair sort of education through this particular platform, and also some financial benefits. So yeah, I mean, learning, education dissemination is an important topic for us, and we have been very active in the last couple of years, not just in Sri Lanka but the whole region as a whole.
And while many people may have the impression that TikTok videos are short videos, it's actually quite possible to upload fairly lengthy videos, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And so we usually TikTok is known for these short form videos, but there are different categories of videos that can be uploaded, which can go up to a certain degree of length. Generally, 10 minutes content are also can be uploaded, especially depending on what sort of category of the content it is. But yeah, I mean, short form video is more popular because everyone loves to see things quickly and move to the next one. But there is a growing interest on a little bit longer format of videos as well. So it's getting up there. Yeah.
Right. And I want to ask you about the negative aspects, the misinformation, disinformation, and so on. But first, we'll take a short commercial break. I am in conversation with Ferdous Mottakin, who is the head of government relations and public policy for South Asia at TikTok. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Face to Face. I am in conversation with Ferdous Mottakin, who is the head of government relations and public policy for South Asia at TikTok. Now, Ferdous, tell us a little bit about how TikTok is dealing with the negative aspects. Let's start with misinformation and disinformation, and you get I mean, this is not something new. It's not something that came about with the digital age. We had it before, long before computers were even invented. People would lie. They would spread false rumors. That would happen, and there was always a negative impact of that. Governments have been taken down long before the internet age by people spreading false rumors. So that has happened. But in this day and age, it's very fast dissemination because of digitalization.
Correct.
And social media platforms are the unwitting platforms. It's not like social media platforms are trying to spread disinformation and misinformation, but others might use it. So how do you combat this? And I know that you have been a lot more successful in recent times than perhaps social media platforms were perhaps 20 years ago.
Well, I think misinformation, it's a global thing. It's not just here, but everywhere. Um, and of course, we cannot ignore this. And we have to, or we continuously, we do that in terms of how do we tackle mis and disinformation. Uh, it is something that needs a lot of efforts and commitments for from each of the company. And TikTok, in as a company, as an entity, are very committed to look into these particular areas, how to manage and control mis and disinformation. There are many components and many protocols that we have. One is, of course, through fact checkers. Like if we find a content which is potentially misinformation, we have global, regional, and national level fact checkers who works with us, and we ensure that these misinformation are not spread for the wider audiences, and it prevents the societal damage. The second aspect is how can we give the tool to the user. So if anyone sees anything potential misinformation, so that the people, what the user can report those content to us. So this tool is with the user itself, and you can tell us that this particular content I see is a potential violation or potential misinformation, and that also helps us to go and review the content and get it through fact checkers and decide whether it is a misinformation or not. These are important things. The collaborative approach of fact checking, the collaborative approach of internal capacity development within the social network, as well as the responsible behavior of the user, whether it is while reporting a potential misinformation or whether it is being careful when they share a content. Whenever you see something as a user which is a potential misinformation, think before you share. Think before you forward to your friends and colleagues and the family members. So, but yeah, it's a collective effort. It's the trend of misinformation is significantly high in different part of the world, and we have been battling it, fighting these battles for quite some time, and it's a never-ending thing. But we are very committed on this particular topic, and we have been working really hard to.
That's good to hear. And let's talk about abuse and bullying and threats, which it's prevalent on many other platforms. How is it on TikTok? Do you see the same levels of that, or is it slightly less?
No, see, um, the harmful content, whichever form or shape, uh, the global framework that we have, we call it community guideline. It clearly disallow it. This community guideline does not allow us to have, store, or disseminate any content that are hateful, that promotes hateful behavior, bullying or harassment, safety for minors. So these things that we by default we do not allow in our platform. The trend pattern is very difficult to say because a lot of the content actually gets automatically removed by the machine itself. Like, for example, we do publish these numbers every year. In the first quarter of the year, this year, we removed about 1.4 million videos from Sri Lanka itself for the violation of our community guideline. So a major subset of this are part of this bullying and harassment or inauthenticate content sharing and various different other components as well. So it is always there. Our job is to make sure that it is not getting promoted, and if for some reason any content are on the platform, we always request the user to report those content to us so that we can do a better job while this sort of content comes up in the next phase or next time.
Right.
Yeah.
So 1.4 million videos is quite a high number, although I'm sure the other platforms are have similar or higher numbers. But is this because of a general lack of awareness among the users that they really can't say this or show this, whereas they know it when they're walking down the street, they know how they should behave, but people generally think they can behave differently on the internet.
Well, see, the digital world, social media and internet, uh, it's a platform that gives freedom of expression to everyone. We really do want to give a platform for everyone to express their words, their creativity, the way that they want to express their democratic practices. But of course, we also need to be mindful about social norms, what you can or cannot do or say. So, if the basic social norms that are available in any society are followed properly, you don't have to teach anything else, anything extra. The community guideline, it's a very basic principle that were developed on the basic social norms that are available across the world. It says do not do hateful behavior towards someone else. It says do not abuse others, right? It says do not spread misinformation. I'm just giving a very basic layman's point of view that so the of course user education is extremely critical, but even if you follow the basic social norms, I think that also helps to reduce those sort of violations or bullying and harassments related things on any social media platform, including TikTok.
Right. So those are words to live by. Live by. Indeed, behave yourself in cyberspace as you would in real life. Now, let's talk about Sri Lanka. And we in Sri Lanka, we our foreign policy was very lopsided or isolationist for decades, but now we are more open to the rest of the world. We are engaging with different countries, and we're not favoring this country or that country. We're looking at our own interests. So that's all quite wonderful. But how does Sri Lanka fit into TikTok's view of this region, especially South Asia and Asia as a whole?
Yeah, look, Sri Lanka is an amazing country, not just because its location and natural beauty and overall diversity, but also uh, a very high growth of internet adaptation, 4G, 5G adaptation, smartphone users, and digitally savvy generation. So we think it's a very rewarding country for us to work, and therefore there have been a lot of focus for Sri Lanka from TikTok, and we do think that it also gives us enough opportunity to bring Sri Lanka as sort of a connecting sort of location with rest of South Asia. So it is not just because of the diversity of natural and the overall growth of the digital economy, but also because of its overall location. We have been working, and we look forward to work more on this particular country.
Lovely. And you mentioned entrepreneurs and how they can use TikTok and are using TikTok. Would you like to expand on that? For example, a small business or a medium-sized business, how useful can TikTok be, and especially those in rural areas? How can they use TikTok?
Well, it's very easy. It's depending on what do you want to use it for. I was talking to someone yesterday, and he said that in one of the locations in Sri Lanka, they used to promote their handmade products, not just for Sri Lanka but also for the region. You can promote your products, you can promote your culture, and I think there is a fair degree of easiness of using the platform itself. So a lot of people use TikTok, the product, the video creation tool, without having any specific technical trainings. So it's a very easy tool to use. There are a few recommendations that they follow, and they can create content very easily. And because the content has a very robust recommendation engine, if the content is unique, if it is something that has real value creation for the wider audiences, this content automatically gets there, and therefore it brings economic value. So we do focus a lot on value creation for the user. And we see that this has been happening in several parts of even rural Sri Lanka now. I hope that it will scale up as it currently stands. We really hope that in future it will further, scale up in the overall activities.
And you have a product which you call TikTok for Business.
Yes.
Would you like to explain something about that? Because that's a relatively new aspect, isn't it?
It is. We haven't really started that for very long ago. So TikTok for Business is really to promote your business in TikTok. It's a tool that gives you the control of creating your product related awareness component, and you send it to the wider network of your audiences. We do suggest that people come and use this particular tool, and we started this quite a few quarters ago as a pilot project. Now it's getting a lot of traction, so hopefully we will see more and more entities will keep using it, and it will help them to promote their overall business.
Right. And another aspect I want to broach with you is elections. And we have seen over the last couple of decades around the world, there's a lot of usage or misuse of social media by political parties and individual politicians. We've seen it in elections in the US. We've seen it in many countries, indeed. But what about Sri Lanka? We've had 3 elections in the last 12 months or so, or 13 months. How did TikTok manage this? Because I'm sure you guys were very much aware of the elections which were coming, and you prepared for it beforehand.
Yeah, so this is a very, very important topic. Election is, we take it as the most important, most significant event for any nations when it comes of election. Over the past few quarters, I would say past 2 years almost, we have been very actively working with the election integrity framework. So in TikTok, we have a very robust framework on what we call election integrity. How to ensure that our platform will not be used for influencing people's opinion and ideas about any political parties or any political candidates, as such that it can manipulate their overall behavior. We worked very closely and collaboratively with Election Commission of Sri Lanka for all the 3 past elections. We provided them technical tools, we provided them training so that they can work with us in terms of to identify threats and work together to diffuse those threats. We have been very successful, I would say, in terms of all the critical elections that we have partnered in the last 3 elections that you mentioned. And of course, this is an occasion that I should thank to the Election Commission of Sri Lanka. The Election Commission has been very, very actively engaged with us, and I think this partnership and collaboration was really powerful, and it was very important for us so that we could have better prepared to ensure that this tool or this platform are not misused by any of the actors. Now in TikTok, we do not allow election related paid campaign. So you will not be able to advertise on TikTok to promote your election campaigns. So that is an unique position that TikTok has globally. So that also kind of way of diffusing some intensity of election related misinformation that we do globally. But of course, it is not something that we can do alone. Working with Election Commission, working with the relevant electoral stakeholders, including voters, including political parties. These are very critical for us to make sure that an election is conducted peacefully. And we have made a very good progress across South Asia on our election integrity overall in the last few years.
Excellent, excellent. And I'm afraid we are out of time, unfortunately. It's been a most engrossing conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
And that was Mr. Ferdous Mottakin, who is the head of government relations and public policy for South Asia at TikTok. Thank you very much for being with us. And thank you to you at home for watching. Don't go away because the news is coming up next. Have a great evening.